Hello, I'm Sharon McElhaney, and I'm here to talk to you today about a subject that's very important to me, care of the homeless. As a student at Mercer University's Penfield College in the Liberal Studies Department, I was connected with Daybreak, a daytime center in Macon. I facilitated a writers group and also volunteered in the cafe. After collecting narratives from the participants, I made a presentation at the Atlanta Research Conference in 2015. And as a follow-up, I'm going to make a similar presentation at Mercer's Bear Day, which is April 8th, 2016. Daybreak is located at 174 Walnut Street, Macon, near Central City Park. Although the building may look small from the outside, its great room exemplifies the name. In this room, there are several sections, which include a library area and a lounge with a television and piano. The conference room is where the writing group meets on Fridays from 9 until 10. Our motivation for encouraging the Daybreak participants to write is for their own benefit. According to James Pennebaker, a leading proponent of wellness writing, writing individual personal stories increase mental and physical health significantly. In our study of narrative analysis by Catherine Reisman, the most important thing I learned was that as an investigator, it's impossible for me to be neutral or objective, that my personal opinions and my own personal interpretations will come through. We used a chart of 5 levels of representations in the research process. The 5 levels are, starting from the bottom, attending. Attending involves careful listening and a tape recorder. Attending also refers to what is meaningful to the investigator. What one person considers to be important might be different from what another considers to be important. Telling is facilitated by both the investigator and the participant. There is a collaborative sharing of knowledge, maintaining transparency, offering encouragement, assisting in word choice, asking quick questions for clarity. By talking and listening, the Daybreak participant and I create the story together. Transcribing from the recording is accomplished as soon as possible after the event. The nature of transcribing is incomplete, partial, and selective. It's an interpretive process because the decisions about how to transcribe are theory-driven and rhetorical. Analyzing begins with typing the rough draft, selecting what is to be included or excluded, and using informed imagination to fill in the blanks. Reading includes presenting the rough draft to the author for corrections, approval, or opinions, and then presenting the final draft to professors for their analyses. Now, for the first project, the participants were allowed to write on any subject they chose. The 3 methods of obtaining the stories were: they gave a hard copy to me, I transcribed a tape recording, and I wrote the story from conversational notes. Out of 23 stories, the majority, 14, were from transcribed recordings. The next slide shows the themes, which varied, the most frequent being religion, fear, and childhood. The other themes, family, victim. Notice the victims were all females. Turning point, information, and happy times. There were 12 authors out of 22 participants, offering 23 stories. Of the stories, 13 were authored by males, 10 by females. Now, I'm going to read portions from a selected story. And this story was selected because it had most of the common themes. The title is Third World Living. The manner in which Sue and her siblings were raised in the 1950s and 60s on a farm in rural Leesburg, Georgia, had devastating effects on their lives. Sue's Navajo Indian mother, Nikita, had 4 children when she entered a marriage with William, who had been in the military. This marriage produced 10 more children, Sue being the 7th of the 10. Although Nikita had the wisdom to sustain the children, she was not able to relieve them from William's abusive ways and his failure to provide a decent living for them. Described by Sue as third world living, the setting and condition of their lives at home was the source of confusion and failure in Sue's latter years. They lived in a house made of boards covered by a tin roof. The walls had holes in them so big that the children could look through them from the inside and tell the time of day, a skill taught to them by Nikita. Now, this is an example of a day that Sue remembers. As children, they were taught to pick cotton in the fields, put it in a bale, and tie it up. When the white man for whom they worked came out daily in his truck and wagon, he weighed the bales, paid the parents, and loaded them onto his wagon for later sale to the gin. Sue's baby sister, who was barely old enough to walk, followed Nikita, holding onto her dress, as Nikita put cotton into a big white sack that she pulled along the ground. As the day progressed, the sound and sight of the school bus caused Sue and her sisters and brothers to scurry into the cotton so that they could not be seen by their friends who were riding the bus to school. About Sue's daddy. William was a mean and violent man, abusive emotionally, verbally, and physically. He was light-skinned, resulting from a white man's rape of his mother. He always had a car, first a DeSoto, then a Studebaker. His pride and joy was his Rolls Royce, with his 5th tire in the back. It was sharp, and he kept it polished. He left home at will and stayed away for days, even weeks. Upon his return, he always accused Nikita of being unfaithful in his absence and proceeded to beat her. In an effort to prevent the abuse, the children swept their own tracks from around the house. In the 1970s, Sue and her siblings, as teenagers, were still living in their third world condition. William's abuse and stubbornness forced Nikita to let them live with other people. Sue and 2 of her sisters wound up together in a home, helping a man with his sick wife. Their new home was more modern, but they faced the same emotional, verbal, and physical abuse from the man of the house, who was also a rapist. Sue and her sisters became mentally deranged as a result of the abuse, compounded by the fact that they were uneducated and untrained. They longed for their third world home where their father, though abusive, protected them from being raped. Now Sue's happy ending. Sue ran away 3 years later, being pregnant from a young boy in the area. Her life spiraled downhill until she reached the bottom and was ready to give up. At that time, in 1992, 3 Christians visited and befriended Sue, constantly requesting her presence at church. She visited their church and eventually accepted Jesus Christ as her personal Savior. Sue felt brand new on the inside, knowing that her identity had been changed. Sue's life now is close to normal. Under the ward of her oldest daughter, she is on medication for her mental issues. Sue enjoys her grandchildren and still loves the Lord Jesus. Sue has a place to live and continuously seeks employment. After my presentation at the Atlanta Research Conference, I continued to work with the Daybreak participants, trying to help them find their voices, because I believe that they have something that we all needed to hear. At Daybreak, we had a writing contest for the people there, and we collected 20 essays. There were rules, judges, and prizes. I'm going to read 2 quotes from each of the major themes. Listen and enjoy. Appreciation of staff and volunteers. The 2 essays I'm going to read quotes from are from essay number 1 and essay number 17. Number 1. Each one of these wonderful people must have been handpicked to work in concert together, each one having something different to contribute. It seems they are concerned enough to sit and listen and help figure out what it might be that a person can somehow discover in order to build his faith in God, his confidence in himself, and his trust in those who might attempt to provide assistance. Number 17. The staff has a relentless dedication and love for serving God and passing that love to all who walks through its doors, without discrimination or belittling towards anyone, and I mean anyone. Thankfulness for the services, from essay number 9 and number 17. Daybreak is my shelter from a troubled highway of life. Having been made homeless through no fault of my own, finding Daybreak has helped me to come to terms with my lot. It supplies me with shelter from the elements throughout the days, giving me laundry facilities, a shower, internet and telephone access, snacks and breakfast, and most of all in my case, help with finding me medical assistance. Number 17, there's much more, such as resume assistance, answering services for anyone without a phone, assistance with prescriptions, and on-the-spot medicine if needed. With the help from the Daybreak Center, I've been able to get a job, driver's license, and an apartment by the referral of a staff member. Family or home, from essays number 16 and number 12. When people do things out of the kindness of their heart instead of what is in it for them, it makes a big difference. Daybreak is a hand up, not a handout. Daybreak has made me face the truth, realize what is important in life, and that I'm not traveling down this long, dark tunnel by myself. Number 12. Sister Elizabeth set up Daybreak like she was preparing it for her family. She treated everyone like they were family. She was so sweet and approachable. There wasn't a stranger in her life. She identified with everyone. Religion or hope? Number 11 and number 19. Every day and night I prayed to God and His Son Jesus for help and guidance. Thereafter His Spirit directed my path toward daybreak. Number 19. I was raised as an orphan and have traveled many roads. There is no doubt that I am strong. I am a survivor. But the hardest part is the loneliness. The day I walked into daybreak, I felt totally broken. All I could manage each day, each hour, each minute was just to breathe in and out. I needed for someone to care, to listen, and to guide me. Immediately, my self-esteem came back. I no longer felt alone and hopeless. Treated with dignity and respect. Number 4, number 7. Homelessness is not hopelessness because the staff and counselors give you a sense of hope. They offer you respect. They treat us with dignity and personal care. Number 7. As soon as you walk through the door, you are home. They treat you like their own. They also talk to you with open arms. When you have a problem or just need a friend or hug and love, if you have pain, they see about you the best way they know how. And finally, social life. Number 17. Let's look at the atmosphere. It's close to that of a Starbucks. Calm setting, very comfortable surroundings, large television, many different varieties of books to read, and comfortable seating in which guests can relax and enjoy a cup of coffee or sometimes juice. All of this at no charge to the guests. The lounge is truly a home-felt environment. And number 4, I sit among strangers, yet we have all things in common. We need shelter, we need family, we need food, we need clothing, we need companionship and care. Daybreak is where we find all of the above. For some, even love and romance can be found. These Daybreak participants inspire me to continue to help them find their voices.